to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine. We're on episode 144. It's Ghislaine. It is Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm just really tired of everyone saying gasoline, Ghislaine, Ghislaine. It's Ghislaine. It's really not that hard, guys. The S is silent. It's French. It's France. Okay? Français. Ghislaine Maxwell. Imagine if I'm wrong. No, but I really think it's that. It's not that hard. But speaking of Ghislaine, she is starting her trial, or actually already started, but I'm only getting snippets of what I see on YouTube and from what I hear. So because it's a federal case, apparently that is the reason why it cannot be broadcast live, as the Rittenhouse case was. And whatever, fine, that's the rule. There is a lot of controversy, of course, surrounding this case in particular, being that the prosecutor is allowing very questionable victims to go and testify. And I say questionable because there was a comment, an article, something that I read that made me question what's really going on. And what I mean by that is, I'm gonna pull it up. So in case y'all don't know, I am on Reddit every day. One thing about me, I'm gonna talk about something, and if I'm not talking vocally, I'm gonna talk about it through social media platforms. I'm gonna talk about it on chat forums, and Reddit is that shit. I wish they would sponsor me, because the amount of airtime I give Reddit is ridiculous. I just love Reddit because after you watch a show, if you watch a documentary, a movie, anything, a reality show, it could be anything as small as that, there's a Reddit page for it, okay? There's a Reddit page for endometriosis. And because of this page, I've learned of different techniques and different ways I could better manage my endometriosis. And that's because of Reddit. And there's mad women in particular, because it's a estrogen driven condition, meaning women are the only ones susceptible. And I'm saying that in this tone because, we live in a world right now where we can't say women. We got to say, how do you identify? Bitch, I'm a woman. Hello? So anyway, there's a Reddit page for everything. There's a Reddit page for podcasts. So I'm a member of different Reddit pages for the podcasts that I listen to. And it's just really awesome. So anyway, I want to find, because if you are on Reddit, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you go on your notifications, you'll see that previous messages that people will comment or reply to will still be there, right, as an activity. This is like a while ago, though, so eventually I'll find it. But basically, one of the victims who came forward and is actually one of the victims that the prosecutor decided to put on trial, she has a questionable story here. And this just goes in alignment with what I was just talking about in our last episode with Portia Williams, how there are actual victims, and then you have those who are not victims, but who have taken advantage of the situation, right? They see an opportunity of money, of fame, of status, so they take it, and then they capitalize off of it by saying they were taken advantage of by saying they were abused, by saying they were raped. And it's like, no, bitch, you went to the house willingly every day. Legs open every day. What are we talking about? So that's just interesting. I can't find it, y'all. But anyway, this victim in particular, she apparently was already of age, and would follow the Epstein crew from state to state. Well, your response may be, well, that's because she's trafficked. Yes, of course. Maybe that's it too. But basically, what I'm saying here is this victim may not be an actual victim. And I'm wondering, why would the prosecutor use someone like her whose story is not as strong as actual victims? You know what I mean? So this is just making me wonder, where the fuck is this trial going? Is this actually going to lead to Ghislaine actually being found guilty? Or will this, support her stance that she was victimized by Epstein and she felt forced by him? When no. She was an equal partner here who recruited and trafficked and even actually sexually abused many of the women, young girls who were involved during this time period. So it just makes me wonder, why would the prosecutor use a victim like such whose story is not as strong, right? She was already of age, and proving actual rape of this woman who's of age is very hard to do, when it would have been better if he actually had the underage victims, who of course are no longer underage, but the victims who were underage at that time. Why didn't he pull those victims forward? Like, something's going on. We're in a simulation. Why are we even having these conversations? Like, what are we doing? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then the Epstein, when this was all at the height of everything, and that, the documentary came out on Netflix that was like a 4-part documentary. I forgot what it's called, but Epstein something. And it was very, very interesting. We learned about the massage jobs that these young girls took upon, and the trips that they took. We learned about Chris Tucker being one of the frequent flyers, and Bill Clinton and Bill Gates, and the list goes on. Yet the actual victims who share their story, or seemingly actual victims who share their story in this documentary, they are not the actual victims being used in this actual case at this point. I'm saying actual a lot, but they're not being brought up. And why is that? Did you only want to show yourself in this fame light on a documentary on Netflix? Or do you really want to bring justice and go to the courthouse and be a part of this process in order for this, this heinous act that was done to you is finally justified? Like, at this point, what's abuse? At this point, niggas just want to talk about it and not get any justice for it. Like, do you feel good after that? Like, I feel like if there was really justice you're looking for, wouldn't you want to be a part of the trial? Wouldn't you want to not only share your story, but do whatever you can to move forward the justice that is needed to put these pedophiles, these traffic ringleaders, these sex offenders behind bars, under the bars? But you want to be on a show, you want to be on a documentary, you want to be on Netflix. I don't know what's going on, but what's going on. Anyway, let's get into Cuomo No Mo. Cuomo No Mo. Oh, this pains me to share this story. Oh, this pains me. When I tell you, years ago, when I was like getting into my political bag and like just like finding my way into like politics and stuff, CNN was of course the first platform that I went to, because growing up in a Democratic household and only knowing Democratic ways, it was like CNN is for Democrats and Fox News is for Republicans, and my YouTube now is looking a little different. Let's just say that. My YouTube timeline now is looking a little different. Looking a little Fox News-ish to me. But prior to that, of course, I was super into CNN. I really enjoyed Don Lemon, and we're going to get into that nigga in a moment. But I really, really enjoyed Chris Cuomo. Okay? Chris Cuomo. something about that Italian sausage is just, I don't know. Like, he just looked like a regular, down to earth guy, a man's man. Of course he's handsome, but like the way that he delivered the news, like I was interested. I wanted to learn more, and he was a great interviewer, and he actually had spots on The View when I used to watch that show religiously. And we're gonna get into The View in a moment, but when I used to watch that show, he would frequent on the show here and there and share his takes on different topics. I just really liked him. So he recently got terminated from CNN, but prior to that, he was actually put on suspension, and the suspension was indefinitely. So we didn't know how long it was going to last or how short it was going to last. We just knew that he was on suspension, and the suspension was for his alleged involvement in protecting his brother, who was then governor of New York City, Andrew Cuomo. And this was because at this time, as you guys know, Andrew Cuomo was accused of sexual harassment, which, and we talked about this. Yeah, really? Okay. Okay. Sexual harassment. I sound like I really don't believe women, right? I swear. Believe all women. I don't. What happens now? I'm sorry. I believe some. And the some that I do believe is because I know personally, right? Because I know real stories of real women in my life who have been sexually assaulted. So I believe women such as those. These women who come out at the woodwork, wanting some book release party and wanting more exposure and wanting to be on Netflix, I don't believe those women. So no, I don't believe all women. Hello, I'm sorry. Shit, I don't even like all women. How about that? Fuck, I'm gonna believe you, right? But no, so I totally didn't believe any of this. Why? This was at the height when COVID was COVID, and Andrew Cuomo, yes, he was in alignment with it, as far as implementing mandates and restrictions and X, Y, and Z. And he was seen as a hero. Like, he was seen as a savior. A lot of New Yorkers really not worshipped him, but really appreciated the way that he worked hard and tirelessly against COVID. And he was like that nigga. And up until, I don't know what he did, and I don't feel like going backwards, but like he did something that was not on code. He was not on code with whatever he was supposed to do. And suddenly you have all of these stories come out back to back. And a lot of the stories that I heard and that I read about was of him saying inappropriate things at work, right? So some of his aides or whomever was a particular role in his staff and happens to be a woman, an attractive woman, he'll say something like, "Oh, why are you single? You look so good." Something like that, right? Which is like, just old nigga talk. Like, he's an older gentleman. He is an older gentleman. I'm surprised he's not, I wonder if he has any children. But I don't think he's married. But yeah, I'm a little surprised about that because I know Chris Cuomo is married. But yeah, so he would say things to his women staffers, and some of which did not take kindly to it, but he never, from what I've read, he never put his hands on them. No one's accused him of rape, or at least I haven't heard of that. So I feel like these sexual harassment allegations, and yes, it's sexual harassment when you don't want it, right? It's sexual harassment when it is not warranted. You do not call for it. You're not attracted to the person, right? That's when it's sexual harassment. These women, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he was trying to be funny. It really just sounds like that older Italian white, just older men being older men. And not to excuse it, but it's not that deep. Am Am I wrong? Is the mic on? It's not that deep in my opinion. And I feel like all of these allegations coming left and right, left and right. There was one case of, they said he touched the back of a woman, like the back of a woman. Like I guess as she was walking by, he just like touched her back. And here's the thing with that. Like, you know, when you're at a club, at an establishment, and it's a day party, it's a night party, whatever it is, and it's a little bit crowded, and niggas are trying to pass by, and they see a beautiful woman, or you're in their passageway, and all that they have to do is place their hand on the back of on your back, right above your crack. Their hand is there. As they're passing through, they're like, oh, excuse me, miss, oh, you look so beautiful. You know, that's their way of like finding their way into the loop, right? Now, if you're fine, it's okay, right? If you're fine, it's okay. It's like, no, I never really like that. I hate it when niggas will just pass by and start mind you, I happen to always be in a position where I'm in the passageway where people are traveling. So you have mad men coming through when their hand happened to fall on my back. And it's like, nigga, okay, just say, excuse me, I'll move. Like, you don't have to touch me to aid me out of your way. It is a little annoying. Now, if I'm already talking to you, right? If I happen to be talking to you and it's different, but like if you're a complete stranger, that's weird to me and I don't really appreciate that. But for the most part, it's not something enough for me to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm being sexually harassed. Like, am I wrong? And so anyway, this is a situation that has happened with one of his female staffers, and she felt like this was uncomfortable. Now, who knows if this happened several times? I just think, again, this is the opportunity to say in that moment, or even just like show it in your body language, like, nigga, back off. Like, every time I don't really go out like that, but when I do go out and this happens to happen to me, my body language will show you, okay, like, hello, I got my Glock. What's up? Like, it's not even, I don't even give you an opportunity to leave your hand on my back for too long, if long at all, right? Like, as soon as I notice you're about to put your hand there, I immediately know to skirt, like, move around, right? So it's not even like I don't feel violated. It's just annoying, but I know how to react in that moment to move forward. Now, when you have women or just people in general who don't know how to act or react in that moment to move forward, then it becomes this internal turmoil situation that gives them the right to feel like, oh, I should go ahead and come forward with this allegation and let it be known that he harassed me. Like, nigga, he just touched, like, girl. So anyway, so this has happened, and Chris Cuomo is involved because, as we know, he is the brother of Andrew Cuomo, and they were just so cute during the whole pandemic situation. They were on TV together in split screens and like cracking jokes towards each other, and it was just a cute family Italian moment. Now they're both gone. So Cuomo No Mo? Say it with me. Cuomo No Mo? So it just kind of sucks that it's crumbling down. The Cuomos are crumbling down, and I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. So this statement came from CNN. It says, Chris Cuomo was suspended earlier this week, pending further evaluation of new information that came to light about his involvement with his brother's defense. We retained a respected law firm to conduct the review and have terminated him effective immediately. While in the process of that review, additional information has come to light. Despite the termination, we will investigate as appropriate. Now, like, dang. And this whole, like, mystique ending, additional information has come. What is it? This, you might as well go ahead and say it. What is it? What could it be? Who can it be now? Like, who could it be? So it's just unfortunate. Now, I'm repeating Italian a lot because as we learn through the movies, through shows, through stereotypes, but even through Chris Cuomo himself, he says family first. He says family first above it all. So above these sexual allegations, family first. Above these accusers, family first. Above CNN nigga, family first. And I respect that. I really do, especially considering that I really don't think Andrew Cuomo is this sexual predator that the news was trying to make it seem. So I do respect that. I find it unfortunate that Chris Cuomo had to get terminated. And it's just all so sad. It's really so sad because I really enjoyed Chris Cuomo when I was in my CNN bag. But he is fired, and we see there seems to be a downfall when it comes to the Democratic Party. I say that because up next we have Don Lemon, who actually have a pending case of his own, a pending case of sexual misconduct, to say the very least. I'm gonna read some parts of this article, and we know Don Lemon is a homosexual, okay, a homosexual man, and he is actually being accused of sexual assault. Okay, that's the biggie. Okay, not harassment, not misconduct, nigga, assault. Like, I took my dick out and I did something with it. Okay, on your body. That's what happened. So let me just get into the thick of it. A man who claims that CNN host Don Lemon sexually assaulted him provided details of the allegation in an interview Monday with podcaster former Fox News star Megyn Kelly. According to Dustin Hides, Lemon assaulted him in a bar in the Hamptons 3 years ago, going on to allege that the claimed behavior may even be part of a pattern. Now, this goes into the gay culture. I mean, maybe I shouldn't even be talking about it because I'm not gay, right? But I'm going to talk about it, whatever. I have noticed a lot of y'all don't only fuck one person. Am I at the same time, right? Like, am I right? A lot of y'all are not in monogamous relationships. A lot of y'all say you have, a partner, but you really... I'm going to end it there. But there's a lot, like, I'm emphasizing the fact that this man said that it seems to be part of a pattern, because I think this is just a part of gay culture. I don't see a lot of monogamous homosexual male couples, okay? And I'm emphasizing on male couples. Now, with lesbians, there's a stereotype that they will jump into a relationship, like as soon as they meet you and there's a connection, that weekend you're moving in, we're together, X, Y, and Z. So I think there's more commitment there. And now let's just get into the whole fact of it all. You're dealing with estrogen energy, right? We're naturally emotional. We're naturally, caregivers and intimate partners. So it is a little difficult for us to soil our oats, right? That's the term. It's difficult to kind of go around and just fuck anybody and everybody here and there if you are a natural woman. Now, of course, there are women who may be lesbian, who may find themselves in multiple situations, right? I know, but I think there are more of the women who play of the the male role in the relationship, right? I know one particular let's move on. But I say that to say, when you have more of a masculine lesbian, that masculine lesbian is going to play more of that masculine role, right? So that masculine lesbian is going to be more testosterone, how do you say that word? More testy, okay? I don't know, but we'll have more testosterone. Oh my God, how do you say that word? But you know what I'm talking about. So there's estrogen and there's testosterone. And that masculine lesbian will be more of the man in the relationship, stereotypically, right? Will have her eyes on several people at a time, will be fucking around people, and it just like that nigga shit. Okay? And look, I'm saying that because I know. Let's just say I know. Okay? Let's just say I know. So I think that is a pattern amongst these homosexual relationships. You see more of the lesbians being more committed and monogamous, while the homosexual men are not. So okay. So Lemon's attorneys have pushed back against Heiss, who's the accuser, who has filed a lawsuit noting in court documents that the former bartender has withheld text messages, deleted social media posts, and is hiding one witness who could refute his claims against the CNN personality. So this seems to be a case that is on the horizon for Don Lemon, and this will soon come to surface. I do feel like Don Lemon's time will come, and I'm ready to see that unfold. And it's unfortunate because when I was in my CNN bag, Don Lemon was one of those niggas. I was like, oh my God, cool. And it was just nice I just really enjoyed that period in my life when I was starting my political career. But yeah, so this is unfortunate. I feel like with Lemon, I've had a distaste against him lately for how he would speak on those who choose not to be vaccinated, how he would address them on his huge platform, and how he would be so vocal in shunning the unvaccinated and saying that basically the unvaccinated shouldn't be able to have access to life like the vaccinated do, right? The unvaccinated shouldn't be able to go out and lollygag and meet and gather with friends and X, Y, and Z. They should be shunned. They should be put in an island and X, Y, and Z. And it's like, girl, nigga, go worry about your dick being in someone else who doesn't want it. How about that? How about that? You so busy trying to be vocal and trying to be this like political high horse of what the agenda is when you're sexually assaulting people, allegedly. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. This whole pandemic has really opened my mind to seeing how stupid some people are. Like, that's really just plain and day. Plain and day. And again, I support choice, right? I support your choice to, I'm having a hard time with like O's and R's right now. Sometimes my accent comes out. I don't know if it's my Haitian accent, my Boston accent, but it comes out. But anyway, I support choice, right? Allow whomever to make the choice to do whatever they choose to do, again, with their body. And when we live in a world where we promote and encourage abortion, yet we are not allowing people to choose if they want to get vaccinated, and the vaccination is not the 100% bulletproof against this virus, and you have a whole, what's that place, Gibraltar, I heard about. Shout out to Freckles Bay, who told me about that island. 100% of the people there are vaccinated, yet COVID rates are dumb high. Make it make sense. Like, at what point are people going to say, this doesn't add up? A lot of times the goalpost is moved, right? Remember when we was right into the thick of it, when we was into the thick of it during the pandemic, and it was promised to us that once you get the vaccine, or once this vaccine gets rolled out, we'll be back to normal. This will protect us from the virus. You will not be able to contract it, and you definitely, like, you won't be able to contract it at all. Okay, cool. Now we have the vaccination. Now it's like, oh, well, we never said you can't contract it. We said you could contract it, but you won't die. No. We say you could contract it, but the symptoms won't be that bad, and you'll be able to beat it. Okay. Okay, so now you see a lot of cases of vaccinated folks who have died, who have been hospitalized, and yet they were promised right a few months ago that if you get the vaccination, you will not be able, like, you will not have to get hospitalized because the vaccination will protect you. But it's not. But it's not, though. Okay, but you won't die, though. But people have died who have been vaccinated. But we don't hear that enough, right? You have to do a lot of digging to find that information, to find that proof. And there's a lot out there. So go do your research. I don't have time, but go do it. And it's like when we are faced with a lot of these just gaslighting moments, at what point are you just like, hold on. Either you think I'm stupid or you think I'm stupid. And a lot of y'all are not questioning, challenging, and pushing against the status quo and what is the agenda and what is being pushed upon us. Like, at what point can we say, nah, this isn't okay, I don't like that. And it was never spoken to us about us needing to have a booster, right? And then additionally needing to have multiple boosters, and it possibly being an every year thing to boost it up. And when does it end? When does it end? I feel like if we were all aware of our own strength and we rallied up against the establishment, against the government, against our bosses, against our deans, against anyone who is in a superior position in our lives and who is pushing forward with these mandates, with these restrictions, and we finally realize this doesn't make no fucking sense, and we push against it, how far will we go? We will go so far because we could outnumber the who's who, the elite. We could, but we are so stuck in this. Like, if you don't know, there's a quote that I have posted in my classroom that is by Alice Walker. If you don't know your own power, no, hold on. The worst thing, hold on, I'm gonna tell you right now. It's by Alice Walker. And if you don't know, she is the author of The Color Purple. And there is this amazing quote that I have. Oh, there we go. Yes, I have this posted in my classroom. I don't feel like any of my students see it. But some of these quotes really just be helping me out to remember my own self, right? And my own strength. But the quote is, the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. Let that sit. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. When you walk around and you think that, okay, well, my idea isn't good enough, or actually I'm just gonna have to go with the flow here, or well, it just is what it is, I just have to just go with it even though I disagree. What are they gonna say? I'm just a poor black kid, I'm just a uneducated nigga. Imagine you talking to yourself like that. I'm just an uneducated nigga. Like, if you don't get some self-esteem and go home. But this is very powerful because we really need to believe in ourselves. It really just goes down to the fundamentals. Believe in yourself. Believe that you can, you will, and so it is. And so it is. If you wake up in the morning, God willing, right? Believe that you can conquer today. Believe that you are capable of whatever task comes your way. You believe that you are capable of completing it, accomplishing that goal, conquering that obstacle, and doing it again and again and again and again. You have to recognize your own power, your own strength, and not allow these insecurities and these projections that people will put upon you to make you think that you don't have power. We all have power, but a lot of us don't recognize it, and so we just acquiesce. We just go ahead and be sheep. Who you gonna be for Halloween? Sheep. Okay. Let's get into Whoopi Goldberg, because my God, today. Yo, I came across this story because, like you guys know, I have not been watching The View. I have not been watching The View because it is the no for me. Like it's gonna be a no for me, dog. Primarily because, as you guys know, I just really grew a strong distaste for anyone who is just going with the status quo with this pandemic, and who is so gun-ho in favor of whatever the government says, and not being independent enough in their thinking to question, just have a question, and who are so quick to get mad at you for having a question and for being doubtful, and thinking that, oh, well, because of you, my grandma died. No, your grandma had high blood pressure long before this pandemic. Like, what do we do? What? I mean, God rest her soul, but that has nothing to do with me. And this media is pushing this idea that the unvaccinated is responsible for the deaths of so many good-willed Americans. What? Anyway, so Whoopi is a part of that. Who the whole show, ever since Meghan McCain left, it has been just a toxic push of government ideas and new world order and agenda, and it's just been very distasteful for me to continue to watch. So I haven't been watching in a while, and it's really because of Meghan McCain's departure that really just made me feel like, yeah, I'm gonna say no to this, dog. I found myself not being the democratic person that I once was because of this pandemic. Like, I feel like this pandemic has really showed people who they are. It showed me who I am more. It showed me who people are. It showed me the real friendships, the real relationships in my life. It is like, okay, shout out to this pandemic, okay? But anyway, so Whoopi Goldberg was on The View, and she recently ranted, as she does, because when I used to watch the show religiously, she will always be so passionate talking about abortion and how she is an advocate for abortion, and how she is very passionate about allowing legal abortions to be had in America, just in general, of course. And she does not want anything to overturn all of that. So recently, there has been a new case come forward at the Supreme Court, and this case is called Dobbs versus Jackson, and it's regarding abortion. And in this case, it hinges on whether Mississippi can ban most abortions after 15 weeks gestation. And basically, what this means is, after 15 weeks of being pregnant, you are not allowed legally to get an abortion in the state of Mississippi. Now, okay, right? Like, this is fine, right? Now, with this case, though, you have a lot of pro-abortions, pro-choice activists who is coming forward and trying to put a stop to this, and trying to allow women who would like to go ahead and kill off their baby after 15 weeks to be able to do so. Now, 15 weeks is how many months? Let me take a look at that. It's about, okay, so it's 3 months. 3 months. Now, when you're 3 months along, is the fetus present at that point? Let me look that up real quick. Is the fetus present at 3 months? So it says here, the reproductive organs also develop, but gender is still difficult to distinguish on ultrasound. By the end of the 3rd month, the fetus is fully formed. Okay? All the organs and limbs are present and will continue to develop in order to become functional. Whoo, that just made me feel heavy right there. So you mean to tell me at 3 months, the fetus is full? It's not even saying, oh, kinda, there's one arm, there's a little bit of a leg showing here, but it's not that big of a deal. No. It is fully formed. And Whoopi Goldberg, amongst many pro-choice activists, are pushing for women at 3 months to still be able to get an abortion of a baby who's fully formed. Oh my God! Today, let's take a little moment to just let that sit in, because that just made me feel heavy. Wow. Yeah, so that definitely just made me feel heavy. I need to take a quick break. But I am back. Let's get into it. So Whoopi said, not only did she say this, but she fumed these following words. She asked a question, her Whoopi voice. Do any of you men have any eggs or the possibility of carrying a fetus? And she says this in response to Justice Samuel Alito, who said the fetus has an interest in having a life, and that doesn't change. So she asked that question, and she particularly says men, right? Because the person who said the fetus has an interest in having a life and that doesn't change is a man, and his name is Samuel Alito, and he's a justice. So this sparked controversy, unfortunately, because we live in a world where up is down and down is up. So you have the LGBTQIA plus community who has a great issue with what Whoopi asked, because Whoopi says particularly, do any of you men, the word men, right? Which is obvious, right? Men don't have babies, right? Men don't carry, men don't give birth. But because we live in a world where that is no longer scientifically plausible, right? Like, we could change whatever it is. And if you want to become a man tomorrow and you're a woman today, you can. The LGBTQIA plus community had a complete issue with this. And their stance is that women are not the only ones who can bear children, and they argue that transgender men who were born female but are now transitioning to men do and can get pregnant. So I mean, what are we talking about? What? But what's the ironicness of it all? The irony of it all is that Whoopi Goldberg is a outspoken liberal, and though she is a comedian, she is so liberal it's ridiculous. And she has always been passionate for abortion, for legal abortion, for the right of abortion, and just pushing that agenda forward. And because she said this comment and singled out men from being able to carry and give birth to a fetus, well, to a baby, she is now seen as the bad person here, because she pointed out the scientific truth, the obvious, that men cannot carry. Men cannot carry a child, only women can. And because the LGBTQIA plus community have a problem with this, this is now going to be a backlash against Whoopi, if it hasn't already been a backlash. I don't know when she said this question, like how recent was this episode. I know it was probably sometime last week. So I'm interested in knowing if she released a apology, like a clarification or an apology overall afterwards. Maybe sometime this week we'll find out if she does deliver an apology to refute what she said earlier. But it's unfortunate that she even has to do that, because it's fucking obvious, right? Obviously, men cannot carry. But again, we live in a world where that is not the case. And this just really speaks to the logic of it all that's being ignored. This really speaks to the scientific fact of it all that's being ignored. And it really just, it helps us. I hope that some people are really allowing the wool to be pulled over from their eyes so they could see just the foolery of it all that is happening in this world, and that an obvious question like this is now being seen as anti everything, right? So transphobic, anti everything. And so it's really unfortunate that we have to now pitter patter around an obvious statement as such. Do any of you men have any eggs or the possibility of carrying a fetus? Now we have to not say those words anymore because of the sensitivity Olympics that we play every day in this world right now currently. So this is just really unfortunate. And you guys all know I initially had different, completely contrasting views when it came to abortion. I was completely for it. And I never had an abortion personally. I never had the, I don't want to say opportunity, but I never had I never was in that position where I needed to get one. And I initially was completely very much for it, primarily because I didn't like the idea of anyone controlling my body and telling me what I should do with my body. And being that there is a push for families to be had, or just like, oh, just say that, keep the baby, and yet there are not enough support afterwards, giving birth and really just being in this thing. And I have since obviously changed my mind about that. I had a real strong change of heart a while ago when it comes to this topic, abortion overall. And I'm just looking at the life that is what it is, and the fact that it's one thing to have an abortion, like, oh, I find out a month into it, right? The fetus is not fully formed at that point. It's not like you're not even really pregnant, right? But it's another thing to be really pregnant, 3 months into it, a fully formed fetus, and still choosing to kill that life. Is now, all of that has really just resonated with me mentally. I really just sat with that idea and just thought to myself, how awful, just how awful. And prior to me getting to this space mentally and emotionally, I was only looking at abortion as a feminist thing, like a feminist power move. And I'm a woman, hear me roar. And back then I was super feminist as well. I would say, oh, I'm a feminist, I'm this and that, right? And not realizing the anti-men rhetoric that was and is the feminist movement. I did not realize what I was aligning myself with. And also realizing that the feminist movement has a tendency of just putting down the black man, the black family, the essence of being your natural self. Like, naturally as women, we are supposed to be able to, or have the opportunity to, become mothers. And taking that right and that natural given right away from us is the work of the devil. I mean, I'm going to bring it there. It is the work of the devil. And for so long, I've been walking around and thinking with this wool over my eyes, thinking that I am actually doing this freedom activist thing, and this is what I'm supposed to do. And I just totally look at it differently. I think of life now as such a precious thing. Like, it's really an honor, a blessing, a miracle to be here. Isn't there, so when your parents have sex, right, to conceive you, you are just one like milligram who made it out of your dad's penis and your mom's vagina. Like, you made it here. And that is a purposeful way of looking at things. Like, you made it here on purpose. God has taken you out of the penis, right? But I know I'm making it funny, but like, seriously, like, we all have a purpose to be here. And when we flippantly look at abortion as a way of just being convenient or just getting out of our own way, it's really a slap in the face is a slap in the face to God himself. It's a slap in the face to the blessing that it is to give birth. So I've just been looking at it very differently, like, wow, what an honor to carry, what an honor to have a life being formed inside of you, what an honor to give birth. I'm really excited when I get pregnant and have a child, and I really am looking forward to it. And I just think about just how far I've come into this idea of motherhood, because I had a wounded relationship with my mom at a certain period of time in my life. I viewed motherhood as this scary thing. I was afraid of it. I was fearful of it. I was afraid that, oh, what if the relationship that I had with my mom, the toxic relationship that it was at one point, what if that trickles down into when I have my own daughter and when I become a mother? And I was just living in fear and thinking in fear. So that just tainted the concept of motherhood for me. And since growing in that mindset and healing from that wound, and now having an amazing, loving relationship with my mom, I am so looking forward to motherhood. Like, I am open to it. I am excited for it. And I'm 30, and I'll just look, shit, hello, let's go. And I never really thought I would get to a place where this is something that excites me, but I am looking forward to the day. I am. Maybe it's baby fever, but, I see babies all the time. Not all the time, but, like, when you scroll through your Instagram or whatever. But it's really, when you look at it in a spiritual sense, and just the privilege that it is to give birth, the privilege that it is to be able to, right? Like, God chose you to be able to just create life. This life itself is an honor. It is a privilege. It's a blessing. It really is. So when you look at it that way, and you're with child, hopefully it changes your mindset. If you were someone who was really pro-abortion, hopefully it could change your mindset. And look, I understand with all that life is, in all its beauty and all its glory that life is, there is a lot of pain and stress and doubt when it comes to living, when it comes to just going about life. Look, I am firsthand when it comes to sharing that here on this podcast, but I also encourage to shift your mindset, shift your perspective when it comes to things that are supposed to be naturally good. Like, we shouldn't, like, when you think about sex, for example, man, I'm not saying like the male species, but I'm saying man in general. If you want to talk biblical, like Christian church, we say man, meaning just the human race. We have a tendency of corrupting what God has created as good. We have a tendency of tainting and just making the good into nasty, into evil. And when you think about sex is good, right? Lovemaking is good. It is intended to be that way. God has allowed for us to experience sex in this euphoric just exchange between lovers. And yet there are human beings who have corrupted that, who have decided to use sex as a form of abuse, to use sex as a form of manipulation, to use sex as a way to coerce someone into doing something that they did not sign up to do, right? So there's a lot of things that are naturally given to us that is intended for good and pleasure and happiness and joy and all of the good things. Yet as human beings, we could either preserve that goodness, that natural goodness, or we can taint it and corrupt it and make it something to be afraid of. So, like, for example, if you are a victim of sexual assault, if you were raped or molested when you were younger, your idea of sex may be so corrupted, right? You may think that you always have to open your legs to the next guy in hopes that he loves you, in hopes that he accepts you. And the next thing you know, you are giving yourself so much to people and you're not getting anything in return. And you thought this was what it was, because for so long during the years of your abuse, you had to do that, or you felt you had to do that. You was put in a position where you had to do that. And now as an adult, you're still finding yourself navigating a way to get out of that because of how sex was introduced to you. And this comes from people in my life who have gone through sexual abuse, and just the conditioning that happens when it comes to that, and how to best get out of that experience and start to think of sex as this pure act of love. It is difficult. It's difficult to get to that place when you were initially introduced and conditioned to believing that sex is this awful, nasty, abusive, tainted, corrupted thing. And so when you think about abortion, it all comes from that same space of corruption. It really does. It comes from just the idea that you can take away what God has deemed to be good, right? The blessing to be able to carry and give birth to a child. You now are thinking of that child as stress, as worry, as a way to give up on yourself, right? So a lot of women may think, oh, well, this child is the end of my life. My life is now over because now my life is only dedicated to this child. And again, we have to grow from that mindset of, when I have a kid, I no longer have an identity. I think that has also been a part of my growth when it came to motherhood. Like, damn, I don't want to become a mother and then lose myself, right? You know how let's just be honest here. A lot of times, a lot of these mothers just, hello, who are you? Like, as soon as they have a kid, they just, hello, is this the same Jane I knew yesterday? It's really strange, but it also just comes from trying to become this idea of what motherhood has always looked like to you, when it doesn't have to be that way. And maybe you grew up in a household where your mother suddenly just didn't have her own voice, didn't have her own ideas, didn't have her own hobbies, and just was so about her children, which is a beautiful thing. But you could also find time for yourself. Like, I would hope, and I do plan, when I do have children of my own, God willing, that I still have my podcast, I still have my own business, or whatever that looks, I still have my own self, right? I don't want to lose myself, and I don't think I will. I really don't. But I see that to be a trend amongst a lot of mothers, where as soon as they become mothers, they just completely become everything their child, and they start to say, oh, my child's my best friend. Huh? Oh, I didn't know we could be best friends with 8-year-olds. Like, I don't ever see myself being best friends with my child. Like, but whatever, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, so all in all, to say, we have been corrupted when it comes to the natural good things, good opportunities, good just way of life that God has intended for us to experience. We have been corrupted to think that this is an act of evil. Like, oh, I'm pregnant, right? Like, let's celebrate. Like, it's actually really sad, because I think about the people in my life, some of the women in my life who got pregnant outside of marriage. And because I grew up in a Christian household and just a Christian upbringing, getting pregnant outside of marriage is completely frowned upon. You are shunned. You are just seen as scum. It's really disturbing how a lot of the unwed mothers I grew up around were treated. But needless to say, they they experience pregnancy as a scarlet letter. That makes sense. Like they walked around with this belly in shame, in turmoil, and there was never really a point to really publicly celebrate and be proud of this life that they're creating. And so that also came into my mind too when I was in that headspace of, well, I want to do whatever I want with my body. If I want to get an abortion, let me get an abortion. That also comes from a space of, well, I don't want to be shunned if I'm pregnant, so the best thing to do is go ahead and kill the baby. Right? Because even though the baby is a blessing, a lot of people in the Christian background will say, oh, the baby's a blessing, the baby's a blessing, but it's not a blessing if it's outside of marriage, right? Like, it's weird. So even though the baby's a blessing, the blessing didn't come in the form of this acceptance, this social acceptance of marriage. Therefore, I have the right to make you feel like shit because you got pregnant outside of marriage. And so all of that just really infiltrated my mind about pregnancy, about motherhood, and it made me afraid to ever become pregnant. And it made me afraid to become a mother for a plethora of reasons. But that was one of those reasons, because I saw examples of women, young women who, they weren't teenagers. They were well within their 20s, post-college grad, doing well as far as like head on straight. They just got pregnant, by their boyfriends or whatever situation they were in. And they were made to feel like shit for it. And so that just stayed with me for a while. Like, damn, I don't want to be shunned. I don't want to be made to feel like shit. And not to say I was thinking like, oh, I will get pregnant outside of marriage, but it just made me feel, in general, pregnancy is not seen as something to be celebrated. Pregnancy is something that you just kind of hide and tuck away. You have the baby, you have the baby. And that's not how I want to get into it. So when I get pregnant, God willing, I'm making that shit known. I'm going to be proud. I'm going to be grateful. And it's really an honor. So overall, I really think we just have to get outside of that mindset. And I know I'm not the only ones. I know there are a lot of women who grew up in Christian upbringings who are not really encouraged to celebrate just the idea of pregnancy overall. And I just don't want to live like that anymore. So, and I haven't been living like that anymore for a while, since I've evolved my thinking about abortion. So, yeah, I mean, God bless the baby. And it just really sucks that Whoopi and many of these pro-choice activists are supporting the right, quote unquote, for women, soon to be mothers, to be able to abort their child after 15 weeks, which means, again, that the fetus is fully formed. That's insane to me. No, I am not in support of that. Whoopi Goldberg, I really hope she sits back. And the way that she rants about it, it's so funny to me, because it's like, Whoopi, you're 72. You're 72. And look, I know she's not 72. Let me tell you her real age. Hold on. She is well over the age of even getting pregnant. So let's relax, Whoopi. Like, as if we're taking her right away from her. Girl, oh, she's 66. Okay, she's 72. But yeah, she is 66. Talk about, I have the right to do with my body. When are you getting pregnant, Whoopi? Whoopi be acting like... And the way that she be talking about abortion so heavily is that, so she does have a child. It makes you feel like, damn, does Whoopi even have kids? She does have a child. She said one was enough, and she did not want to have more, which is, you're right. Some people could feel that way and like, look, one is enough, and I want to give all my attention, all my love to that one. Or maybe just that one was enough for me and it tainted me from wanting to have another. That's totally fine. I respect that. But it just makes me feel like, damn, did she even want that one? I think, though, she got pregnant young. Like Oprah. Oprah doesn't have kids, as we know, but Oprah got pregnant when she was young, and she had a self-abortion, which means I think she just took something back in the day there were ways, I'm sure there are still ways now, to abort your child without having to go the legal route. So there wasn't a Planned Parenthood, especially if you're living in the Midwest, in the South, in like just the countryside, and you're 14, 16, whatever age, you're unwed, and you got pregnant. There were ways around it. And the push for legal abortion was to allow women, soon to be mothers, to be able to abort without being killed in the process, without having any harm done or permanent damage done to their bodies in the process. Because for so long, women back in the day who were pregnant and did not want to keep their child for whatever reason were pretty much forced to do it in a way that was completely dangerous. There's a scene from, is it For Colored Girls? I think it's in that movie where one of the younger girls, she got pregnant, and she had, prior to her getting pregnant, she was doing really well in school. She got a full scholarship to go to college, and she was like that golden child, and she didn't want to disappoint her mother. And so when she found out she got pregnant, she was trying to figure out, how can I get rid of this baby and not make it known? And first, you need about 300, at least at that time, you need 3. I don't know if it's more now, maybe, inflation. But at that time, you need about $300 to abort your child legally. And she couldn't make that money. She couldn't afford that. So she went the dangerous route, went to literally an alley. Went to an alley. This lady got some, what was it? Hangers, and just, okay, let the visual be visioned. Okay. And so this was the actual story of many women who found themselves pregnant and like, I just woke up and I'm pregnant. No, but who learned that they were pregnant and could not even see themselves as mothers for whatever reason, could not see themselves giving birth to this child, that, maybe the child is the product of rape or the product of just an unfortunate circumstance. And they had seemingly no choice but to go down this dangerous path of having an abortion with a pair of hangers, okay, with some hangers. So yeah, this is a real thing. I think actually Whoopi went through that. Whoopi and Oprah. Yeah, so prior to Whoopi giving birth to her only child, I believe she had an abortion. Yeah, she did. Yep, she did. I remember hearing that in one of her comedy specials, because Whoopi is a comedian. I know a lot of us forget, right? But prior to her giving birth to her one and only child, she was pregnant when she was younger, and she talked about it in one of her comedy specials, which is a very long time ago. And she talked about it so very dismissively, but as a comedian, you find ways to make things funny, you find ways to build it up. And so I'm not even disturbed by that. It's just learning that was a true story, that she described having I think she what happened, I think she actually did get some hangers and did it herself. She just poked that thing up in there and did what she needed to do, which is, it's even hard for me to say that, but time to do it. I'm trying to find if there's something I could read about that talked about her getting an abortion and doing it on her own. But yeah, this is a real thing, y'all. And so I just came across this article that says, "What back alley? These women say DIY abortion can be empowering." Okay, this is not what I want to read to y'all. This is not the message I want to push. But what's funny as hell, I'm gonna find a joke. I clicked this article. This is literally the title. "What back alley? These women say DIY abortion can be empowering." That is literally the title of this article. My God, today. This is this is not the work of the devil. What is? What is? So as I scroll, the first image in this article is a pair. I don't keep saying pair. The first image is hanger. Is a hanger, literally a hanger, and the hanger is a pearl hanger. So the image provokes both fear and fury. A wire coat hanger. No more wire hangers. I don't like. Do y'all like wire hangers? Child, I used to grow up with them. So I mean, my mom was not one of those no more wire hangers. We just had hangers, but yeah, wire hangers was definitely one of the things we had. But as you know, they're very flimsy, and like you cannot put a big, heavy Boston coat on a wire coat hanger. Like, what? You want the shit to fall apart? What I use now are these suede hangers. Most of my hangers are either in the color pink or in the color beige. Anyway. But yeah, so like let me not even say that joke. Moving forward. But anyway, let me just read this little part here. The image provokes both fear and fury. A wire coat hanger spattered with blood, symbolizing the drastic measures women may take when abortion access is limited. Whoopi Goldberg brandished one on stage at the 2004 March for Women's Lives, urging the younger generation to remember what their forebears used. Okay, so this proves my point that this is nothing new to many people, from many women in the past who felt like they had to do that. And so hangers were used. I wanted to see specifically Whoopi's story, if this is included in the article. Ending a pregnancy without professional help has its risk, from medical complications to imprisonment, but the abortion methods available today, yada, yada. Okay, well, I can't find it yet. I don't feel like searching through it. But for the most part, there is a very old special of Whoopi Goldberg giving a joke about her aborting her fetus, her unborn fetus. I don't know at what point in her pregnancy did she do that, but this was years ago, probably when she was super young, probably in her teenage years. And it was a successful job, right? She was able to abort that fetus, and she lived. So thank God one life was saved, right? But all of this is just to say, shift your perspective when it comes to life. This is just a life, a needed life hack, if you will. Shift your perspective when it comes to life. When we wake up every day and we choose to find the negative, we'll always see negative. Always. You can live in a nice, beautiful home, but you'll find something negative about your day. You'll find something to complain about, which is why I hate complainers. Look, I understand there's moments to complain. I love a good complaint. Don't get me wrong. I love to find some solid complaints, but I mask it with some humor. I like to find some irony in. Like, there's a way to complain without it feeling too heavy. And even when I find myself complaining too much, I'm able to check it because I know how it feels. I'm so in tune with my emotions that I recognize, I'm being a little negative Nancy right now. Let me go ahead and shift this energy. Yet there are a lot of people, let's just say coworkers. My God, today. I keep on saying that throughout this episode, but seriously, my God, today. I think it's a requirement. In order to be a coworker, you have to be a complainer. You got to find something wrong with everything your boss just said. And it's like, at this point, what do you like about this job? Do you like getting paid? Do you like a salary? Do you like 3 months off? Like, what do you like? Anyway, the message I really want to push for everyone listening is to really shift your perspective when it comes to life, when it comes to giving life, when it comes to living life, when it comes to having life. We get so sad, right, when someone passes away, when someone passes on, when transitions happen. And just the rock that is shaken when someone leaves your life. Let's have that same energy when it comes to living life. Like, let's live life the way that we should, the way that we are intended to, the way that God has created for us to do so. We have to live in abundance. We have to live in this idea that this is a glorious experience, and you make it glorious. You are able to shift it however you need to in order to live a life of abundance. And I think so often we are faced with so much turmoil, so much fear, so much corruption that we lose sight of what we need to fix our sight on, which is why you got to stop watching the news. You got to stop worrying about the next Omicron, Delta X, Mona, Thi, Delta, Mu. Like, I can't keep up. I can't keep up with another variation of this coronavirus. I can't keep up with it. I have to choose life. I have to choose peace. I have to choose happiness. I have to choose love. I have to choose humor. I have to choose these good things, this goodness. Because otherwise, I mean, at this point, what's the point of it all? If we get so consumed with the negativity of life, of the media, of social media, of the complaints that we hear every day from our coworkers, just everything around us, that at this point, you might as well go ahead and chalk it up. Chuck up the deuces and go ahead and do what you need to do and to end this life. Because why? Are you grateful? I talked about it on a previous episode of this podcast when I said a lot of these dead people, I'm saying a lot of these like that, but seriously, a lot of spirits out here who are no longer living in flesh wish they could trade places with you. They wish they could still live life, yet they have to now live in this new dimension, right? This new place, this new land, away from their fleshly loved ones. And yet we're over here living life in our flesh, in this physical body, and we're complaining every single day. We're finding reason to be upset every single day. We have no gratitude in the world. It's like, at this point, chuck it up. I think about all of that every time someone complains for the 100th time. It's like, bitch, what are you grateful for? Do you like a check? Do you like money? Like, stop complaining every time I see you at work. Fuck. Anyway, so that was my whoa Whoopi segment. That's literally what I titled it in my notes. I'm still sad about Cuomo. So Cuomo No Mo? Dang. Cuomo No Mo. My Italian sausage. It's so stupid. I'm kidding. It's a joke. But yeah, I don't know. Going back to Cuomo real quick. I don't know where he could go from here. Same for Andrew Cuomo. I was saddened when he was wiped off. I mean, he's still alive, but wiped off basically. Like, where do they go? I mean, I'm sure they're fine financially. They're doing well for themselves, but it's just this loved, this painted, this beloved picture and idea of them is now tainted. It is now tainted. Just like Matt Lawyer, right? That's his last name. I loved him growing up. I used to watch him all the time in the mornings with my dad. And, years later, we find out he was this predator. Now, I don't think he was actually raping his female staff members, but he was making them feel very uncomfortable. And he even had a button in his office that would lock the door from the inside and outside. I don't know, just a whole lock. And the women would not be able to leave until they do whatever he asked. Now, I haven't gone into that in depth, and that was a while ago when he got wiped off the paint. But it's just, I love Matt Lawyer. I don't, like, what's going on with him? Like, they just fall off. So Chris Cuomo, even though he was not accused of, at least as of yet, because that whole there additional information has come to light and they didn't tell us what it is. Look, I hope he has a career at some point again. And it's not like he was found to be sexually misbehaved, but I think because he supported his brother from being accused of sexual harassment allegations, he's seen as a liability, or he's seen as someone who is okay with sexual coercion of any light. But yeah, I mean, Cuomo No Mo? Dang. All right, guys, you know what? You already know what I'm about to say. Cue the music! Right, all right. So you're probably thinking, huh? Why are you playing All or Nothing? Isn't Married at First Sight over? It is, but it's not at the same time. And the reason why I'm saying it's not, as you guys know, I am an avid Reddit user. And I am on the page of the Married at First Sight page on Reddit. And apparently this nigga Zach is the problem. It is a problem. I knew something was up. I knew it. I called it. And I knew Michaela is crazy. Okay, I know she's crazy. I know she has her faults. Don't get me wrong. But Zach, on the other hand, is an asshole. Okay? Excuse me, I'm burping. Zach, on the other hand, is not this goody, two-shoe type of guy that he portrays himself to be. And I knew it when remember that scene? Okay, so we saw initially Michaela, she comes to she calls Zach's name. He's not in the house, in the apartment. She's looking around, trying to find him. He's not there. She walks into the dining area with the Clorox wipes and she bangs it against the table. Okay, we're like, okay, bitch, what the fuck is going on? And then we learned that he never came home he did come home, but he came home much later. And he didn't go into the room with her. He fell asleep with the dog. He put the dog to sleep. And as y'all know, when I talked about that, when that happened, I was like, nigga, what? You did what? You put the dog. You're supposed to put me to sleep. If you put me to sleep, everything's good. Okay? Put me to sleep. Put me to sleep. Shout out to Freckles Way because he puts me to sleep. Everything is put me to sleep first before you put your fucking dog. What are you talking about? You put the dog to sleep. Put me to sleep. And you know what I mean when I say that. So you come home after a whole week of not being together because he had COVID and their honeymoon was ruined. He comes home and then he puts the dog to sleep and he doesn't sleep in the same bed with Michaela? Okay. Okay, bet, nigga. I knew from then it was some bullshit. Like you want some bullshit, okay? And with Zach, there was also another moment when what happened? He was supposed to have a movie night with Michaela, and yet he decided he went to go pick up some things, like I guess a movie and some snacks for them to eat and watch together. And he never came back home. He never came back. He instead texted her and said, hey, I'm close to my apartment. I'm just going to stay here for the night. Let's just do it another time. And it's like, nigga, are you on drugs? Is it drugs that you're on? What makes you think this is okay? You can't do that. So this was always on some bullshit in my head. Like, oh, he's on some bullshit. Now, in my head, though, I never even thought of the idea of Zach possibly seeing other women at that time. I really didn't think he was. Because even though I knew he was on some bullshit, I felt like he was just, because he was always single, right? And he said himself that he's never really been in a long term or like a real serious relationship, and he probably doesn't really know how to not be this independent single person anymore, and to really check in with his partner, his spouse. So I think that was the more of the reason why he acted the way that he did, because he just never really had a real relationship to know how to be in one. So that was my cop out for him. Even though I felt like he was still on some bullshit, that was my cop out for him. Now, come to find out, this nigga was, according to all the internet sleuths out there who put two and two together, he was apparently seeing someone that whole time, okay, and probably put her on the back burner and had her around whenever him and Michaela was not seeing eye to eye, and when he would sleep out of the apartment, he would catch up with her. Apparently Zach would talk hella shit about Michaela to his family, and they would contribute to that conversation. They wasn't really as fond of her as it may come off, because on the show it seemed like Zach's brothers were very mature and trying to bring some level of peace between them, and like they were trying to mediate, but apparently they didn't really care for Michaela either. So anyway, so we know that they ended up getting a divorce, and we see Zach and Bao getting together, going on dates, and just like doing this thing to get like dating. So come to find out, even though Zach told Bao that he's only interested in her and he wants to see where this goes, and he's only putting his attention on her, he was actually seeing someone else still. I don't know if it's the same woman that he's been seeing when he was with Michaela, but he was seeing someone at the same time as him seeing Bao, and this woman came out of the woodworks with some receipts, presented it to Bao, and Bao would like sneak talk about it on her Instagram story, and it seems like they're not dating anymore. So she believes this other woman, and the receipts proves it further. And so this just paints Zach into the ain't shit nigga that he is. That's just really what it does. It really just paints him to be this wackadoodle who thought his consistent tears and his bitch assness would make him look like the good guy, will make him look like the victim of Michaela's outlandish outbursts. And this whole time, Zach was the perpetrator. And yes, again, Michaela is still wrong and crazy in her own ways. Yet, because of how loud her wrong was throughout this season, it dimmed the light of how wrong Zach was too. It dimmed the idea that Zach could ever be this playboy, this player, this whack ass nigga. And so it reminds me again of that scene during the reunion episode when Michaela spazzed out on him and said, you played me, you never loved me, you never cared for me. And I thought she was just like, being Michaela. I didn't really give that much light. But now with all this new information coming out of Zach seeing multiple women, yet lying to the one woman he said he was only seeing, just makes him look like, it just really confirms everything that Michaela was saying. And now I feel like I deserve to give her an apology. Like, damn, I didn't believe that woman, right? Believe all women. I didn't believe Michaela. I did not believe Michaela because, Michaela was just doing too much. And it just sucks because this whole time Zach was playing her. And this whole time Zach was playing Bao. And it just makes me wonder if he ever meant anything he said to either Michaela and to Bao. Zach ain't shit. So that's all I really want to get into for Married at First Sight. Again, there was no new episode. I just wanted to share that because that was new information that really helped solidify more of the bullshit antics that Zach pulled but got away with because of how much Michaela outshined him when it comes to the wrongdoings in their relationship. Okay, so child, I'm just Zach though, like I just don't see it. I just still feel like he's so corny to me. Like, so for him to have multiple women or just another woman on the side is like, Zach, this nigga, he probably has white women. I really can't see him with a black woman. I really can't. I really can't. It must have been a white woman. It must have been another Asian. So, anybody else but a black woman. And if it, I really can't. I can't even say if it was a black woman, then maybe she's like a different type. Maybe she grew up in the suburbs type of thing. I really don't think. Nah, it must have been a white woman. But yeah, I think this makes sense because all those nights he didn't sleep at the apartment, and he was quick to leave and show up later. He probably was with somebody else. And Zach really ain't shit. Ugh, trash ass nigga. All right, let's get to the next. Cue the music.
Now I'm ready to love.
All right, let's get into Ready to Love. So the latest episode, we see the women meeting the exes of their love interests. And my first question is, y'all believe this? Do y'all believe that they were really these men's exes? Because Walter and that Denise girl, okay. Okay. And look, I am not here to shame women. I believe all women, right? But girl, what are we talking about? I feel like ex is subjective. Okay? I think ex in this case doesn't necessarily mean ex-girlfriend. I think in this case it means ex-boo thing. Ex somebody who I used to fuck. Ex one night stand. Because I don't buy it. I don't feel like these exes, not all of them at least, especially Denise and Walter, were actually girlfriend and like boyfriend, girlfriend, that type of thing. I feel like it was a situationship. Let's just say that. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. I'm gonna leave it there. You pick it up when you want, because I'm gonna leave it right here on the corner of West and 9th Street. I'm gonna leave it right there. This episode was definitely better than the last one. I do have to say that. I'm gonna give it that. Even though I'm complaining about this show sometimes, I gotta find the good. It is still great to watch this show because I love seeing black people on TV. Especially not in a situation where they're like jumping over chairs and stuff, trying to fight each other. Until the next episode, because we might see that. We definitely might see that. But I do still love the show, even though yes, this season is a little bit of a snooze fest. I'm still tied in. And the reason why I say snooze fest is because I just don't really see the connections really translating well through the screen for me. Like I don't see it. Like I don't really see either couples, either people in the couple, like either person in the couple really liking the other person like that, or really seeing like, wow, I could really see a future with this person. Like for example, you see Zadia, for example. Zadia is super closed off. She is super, you can't read her. She's emotionally guarded. And it's like, bitch, you're not ready to love. Like, you know you're not ready to love. I could tell you that. Like, you just can't tell with her. So I don't like that. Tasia, I'm glad she got eliminated. It was long overdue. The whole time she would talk, she never really open up emotionally. She'll talk about her business and being an entrepreneur. She'll talk about her upbringing a little bit, but it's very surface level. Like, okay, I'm from Mississippi, byway Chicago. Like, okay, and like, okay, tell us about your last relationship. Tell us your do's and don'ts in relationship. Tell us what you look forward to. Like, we just know the surface level answers. Like, we know that she will want to have children, which is okay, great, but okay, like, who are you as a girlfriend? What does that look like to you? Like, describe yourself as a girlfriend. If your last ex were to describe you, what would they say? Like, I want to hear that, and I didn't get that from Tasia at all. So I was happy she's gone. Zadia, like I said, is emotionally guarded. You have Camille, just quick with the facial reactions. Look, I love a good animated face. Don't get me wrong. Like, I have an animated face at times, because I feel like it emphasizes the joke. But she's just too much, and she's too grown, and it's just too much. It's too much. So I feel like she still is very much a child. She still is very immature emotionally and mentally, and that is another example of her not being ready to love. Her just putting the claws on Cornelius, and Cornelius not being really man enough to even think to see another woman, to kind of test the waters with someone else, is just corny to me. Like, that's just, so that's what I mean by snooze fest. Like, this season is really not giving what it could be given. I like Walter, but again, I don't see anyone really, like, I don't think anyone kissed yet. I think Aisha may have kissed Frank. But for the most part, it was a little lustful. Like, I don't see anyone really kissing. Like, I really like you. Like, I really see my life with you. I really want to get to know you more. Like, I don't see any of that. I don't see any of the men really being the pursuers that they should be. I don't really see the women being as open and vulnerable, and not just on some sexual, I'm good in bed. Like, Shiloh will be talking about that all the time. Like, girl, what else you got? I don't really see them being emotional. And yeah, there was that moment between Sabrina and Walter where they connected on some trauma shit, which is, yes, it's still beautiful, but it's again trauma bonding. You don't want to be with someone just because you guys know the pain of being sexually abused. Like, the fuck? Like, it's one thing to connect with somebody, and it's not to say this, and again, in case you haven't watched the show, that's not their story, but there was a particular, I think there was a death both of them experienced of a loved one, and so they related on that note. It was something that they related on that was in the umbrella of trauma, and it's like, okay, I just don't think that's a recipe for a healthy relationship, right? Like, we're together because you know how it is to be from the mud. What? We're together because you know how it is to be raped. What? Like, I don't want it to be the only thing that's binding us together. That's pretty dramatic and traumatic, and it's just heavy. Like, I want to be with you because, yes, you understand what I've been through, but you're able to show me the goodness of life, and you're able to help me to get my mind out of corruption and get into a place of abundance. Like, really just, like, speak life into me. I don't want us to get together because, oh, you know how it is. You know how it is to be broken. Like, it's like, tell me how it is to be rich. Tell me how it is to be making it. Okay? So, overall, I just don't see connections really being authentic and genuine and just out there. I think a lot of these contestants are not ready to love. They're not really ready to be put on front street and let their emotions and hearts be on their sleeve. A lot of them are just in this surface ass space, and it's really sad to watch. Like, damn, can we have one successful Black couple that comes out of this? Now, the last season of Ready to Love, we have, what's her name? That lawyer girl, light skin, curly hair, cute face. She got with Rashid. They didn't end the show together because Rashid was interested in someone else and she wasn't really interested in him. But they're now together. This girl, I forgot her name. But anyway, This season. Let's talk about this this episode. So what happened? So we see the exes, and again, I don't believe it. I don't believe that they're all like ex-girlfriend. Maybe some of them are, but some of them were ex-boo things, or like, oh, we were together for 2 weeks and we just didn't really see a future type of thing. I think it's one of those situations. Who did I want to speak on? So Camille was giving her scripted pageant answers. And again, with her, I feel like she's not really into Cornelius like that. I think something about him saying him being this celibate figure right now attracted her. And we now know that Camille is not really about that life, though, prior to meeting Cornelius. But she said in this episode that she would do it if that is what her partner wants and if that is what will bring them closer to God. And it's like, what? So fucking dumb. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You know, I just again, I think her saying specifically that she will be celibate because he's celibate is being disingenuous. Like, be celibate because you want to be. Even though I'm not in favor of it, but be it because you choose to be it. Don't be it because your partner is celibate and you're only doing it because of your partner. I feel like that's, I promise you that's not gonna work out. I promise you. Like, you think about someone who never was celibate, someone who was never really in that mindset of being celibate, suddenly being celibate because, oh, they love you that much. Look, I get it. Love is powerful. Love is real. But I think also, if you're not in agreement with the idea of celibacy and you are forcing yourself to be in agreement with that just to please your partner, you will then resent your partner and eventually cheat on your partner. Like, can we just fucking be honest? Can we be honest on this episode? Can we be honest? Like, it's not gonna work out. What are we talking about? So that was just so dumb. And then you have Cornelius and his ex. I'm just like, is this your sister? Is your ex your sister? Like, this is a home girl, church girl that you got from back in the day. This is not your ex. Like, can we? Cornelius doesn't have an ex. Pick up what I'm putting down, okay? Pick up what Cornelius does not have an ex. Pick up what I'm gonna leave it right there. If you want to pick it up then. But he doesn't have an ex. So let's just say that, okay? Who else? So Frank got a white girlfriend ex. And you know what? I'm not even surprised. Frank didn't give me that zhuzh that nightlife niggas do. Or, you know, like, I feel like if you're in the nightlife, either you're a drug dealer or you're not, right? Like, it's either or. It's either you're a drug. Yo, I remember one of my good friends here, shout out to Chantel, who I celebrated her birthday with just 2 weekends ago. And it was a great time. We went to this day party spot here in Houston. And yeah, it's a really cool time. So as women do, we walk around, like, we kind of just like walk around the area. It's just like one of the things you do when you arrive somewhere. You walk around to see, you know, what's going on over here, what's going on over there. Should we move over here? Like, it's just, you check the vibe. So I'm walking around with one of my other good friends, Allegra. Shout out to you. Hey, girl. We're walking around and instantly I spot out the drug dealers. Like, okay, drug dealer corner over to my right. Like, y'all, all y'all niggas drug dealers. And you can just tell, right? It's not like they say, oh, I'm a drug dealer. Let me get your number, right? It's your persona. It's your essence. This guy was super, look, you could be very slim and be a drug dealer, but this guy in particular was like, damn, nigga, did you come from BMF? Like, are you a GD? Like, what hello? What's going on? Are you a crib? Which one are you? Like, just like a drug dealer from the real, like, drug dealer, okay? Super buff, like super chains on him, and the nigga next to him was another shooter too. Like, I was like, oh my god, I want no problems. Like, it's no big deal to me. I seen this many a times, but it's just so interesting to me how that is the look of someone who is in the nightlife or frequents in a particular area, whatever. Frank definitely don't give me drug dealer vibes. He gives me, I work at this bar in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Like, that's what he gives me. He doesn't give me, like, I'm afraid of you, you should be afraid of me type of nigga. Like, he doesn't give me those vibes. So, being that, and remember that scene where we see him shaking the shaker as he's making drinks, which is fine. Like, do your job. Know how to make a good drink as a bartender. But the answer's gonna be a no, right? It's gonna be a no for me, dog. He's not like the typical, like, he wasn't one of those niggas I saw when we were at the spot the other day, a few weekends ago for my friend's birthday. He wasn't one of those drug dealer niggas. Like, that's nightlife. Frank being a part of the nightlife crew is not the same. Like, I guess nightlife to me is different from nightlife to Frank. So me seeing that he had a white ex-girlfriend, it makes sense. And the way that Frank comes across is like very proper. And again, it's not to say black man can't be proper, but it's like, nigga, come on. Can we keep it a buck? Hello? Are we going to be honest for 2 seconds? Can we just be honest? I could see Frank. Oh, yes, baby. I could see Frank definitely with the white girl. So yeah, I just feel like it wasn't too much of a surprise for me. And I feel like with him, that he is someone who I could still see him with a white girl. So him being interested in Sydney the way that he is, again, I don't feel like is genuine. I feel like it's just being that they come from nightlife, and I'm sure they've seen they've seen each other around. It's like, okay, but can we find, like, I'm talking about love. This show is called Ready to Love, not ready to lust, not ready to figure it out, not ready to see where things go. I'm ready to love you. I'm ready to love and be loved. None of these niggas is presenting this this persona, and not just the men. Again, it's definitely not the men I'm pinning on this blame towards. It's the women as well. These women are not open to really being ready to love, and it's just a fucking joke. It's a joke. It's a joke, my nigga. It's a joke. The next episode is gonna be very interesting, though. I'm ready to see Aisha pop off and let that New York come out. That New York, where she's from, Bronx, Brooklyn, where's she, Harlem? Like, I'm ready to see that New York come out. New York. I like her. Out of all the girls, I really feel like she's the most genuine. I feel like she is one of the few people on the show who is actually ready to love. I could actually see that being a genuine pursuit of hers, and I do wish her the best. It's unfortunate I didn't really see her in this episode. Apparently, according to internet sleuths that I come across, they say that she was actually busy that episode for that recording, so I think she just wasn't able to make it, so that's why she wasn't on. So whatever, but we'll see her definitely being on and popping next episode. I can't wait to watch that. And then we actually see a little teaser of some discord between Sabrina, Moomin, and Walter. So apparently Walter, and I'll get into it when that episode comes out, but it seems that Walter according to Mumin is under a spell. Like he's under a spell by Sabrina because apparently he acts different with her. And I can't wait to watch that because I want to see if they'll show us examples of him acting different or just showing different energy. Like I really want to get into that because I hate when people act different when they're with certain people and you're seeing them in a different light and it's like, wait, who is this person I was just with a moment ago? Like, is this person still here? So I would hate for that to be the case. But it looked like he wasn't really receptive to that either. Like, I appreciate someone who's receptive to self-feedback, right? Especially if it's presented in a way that is digestible. Because there's a way to give feedback to someone without hurting their feelings, without making them feel like shit, you know? And when you've mastered or just really progressed in that art form in doing so, and the other person is still not receptive to receiving that feedback and being reflective, I hate that. And it looked like Mumin was trying to be as gentle yet direct and clear in sharing that feedback to Walter, yet he wasn't receptive to it. So I really can't wait to watch this episode and see what that looks like, where it goes, and you know what's going on. But okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate every feedback, good ones, of course. But, I really do appreciate anyone reaching out with their commentary on any of the topics I touched upon. I know I kept it very heavy political. I didn't think I was going to be so into Cuomo No Mo, but damn, Cuomo No Mo. But anyway, I'll end it off here. Thank you guys for listening, and goodbye. See you next time. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.